Hello, everyone. Today, we're diving into the topic of consumerism. What is it? Why has it grown so much? And is it really a problem? I'll be answering these questions and sharing my thoughts to help you understand this really important topic better. Oh, and stick around, because later in the video, I'll show you how to access a free document I've put together with resources and exercises to help you improve your English and learn more about consumerism. So, let's get started. What is consumerism? Consumerism is the trend of people buying things they don't necessarily need. So before, people used to buy things that they really needed. We could call these essentials. Food, clothes they needed, things for work, things for the house. So you really needed to buy these things. But consumerism is this process of people going to work, earning money, having extra money, and then with that extra money, buying things. I guess it could involve experiences and services, but when I think of consumerism, it's usually about items. It could be this mug. I've got loads of mugs, but this mug looks quite pretty, so it was bought. This new iPhone. I had a phone, it was working, the camera was broken, so I guess it wasn't fully working. I had it for a few years, but I could still access the internet and send messages on it. But when I had a little bit of extra money, I decided to treat myself and buy a new phone. I guess consumerism has taken a bit of a dark turn because a lot of people end up buying things they don't really need with money they don't really have. So a lot of time people buy clothes and other items with credit cards, or they might use services where they buy now and pay later. Without a shadow of a doubt, consumerism has grown as a trend. More and more people buy things. Shopping is very much part of our culture. Why has consumerism grown? One of the reasons that consumerism has grown is mass advertisements. Advertising has become pretty big in the UK. Before you watch every YouTube video, in between TV, even between movies, when you're walking down the streets, when you're in the public transport, on your phone, on social media, it's everywhere. We just have companies telling us to buy things. Companies have also got very good at advertising. When there is a advert about a car, they're not trying to tell you about the specs of the car or how fast it can go. They usually try and sell you a lifestyle. So advertising and marketing companies have got used to this idea of connecting products and things to emotional responses. So I think a famous example is Coca-Cola. They don't tell you in the adverts like what Coca-Cola tastes like and its nutritional value. They don't do any of that. They kind of sell it as a story of look at this multicultural group of friends having a great time. Oh, and they're drinking Coca-Cola. So if you buy Coca-Cola, you're more likely to have this vibrant social life. So there are psychological triggers that we experience all the time, every single day, telling us to buy items. I think social media has probably influenced the growth of consumerism as well, because we've become more image focused. People care more about their appearance, and with social media applications like Instagram, all you can see is an image of someone, what they look like. And you can really kind of shape how people view you through the photos and videos you upload. And one of the ways that you can do that is through having nice things. So people are more incentivized because they want people to value them highly. And often people judge people in a better way if they live a better lifestyle. And better lifestyle equals better things. I also think our economy is just geared up for growth. We measure countries by GDP, gross domestic product, how many products and how many services get sold in the country each day. So companies are just constantly trying to sell us new things. If people stop buying things, the economy would crash. Things like the death of religion in the UK have probably encouraged this as well. People care less about morality and ethics and virtue these days, and they basically are keeping up with the Joneses. Life in many developed countries for most people is just going to university, getting a good job, climbing up the corporate ladder, earning more money, getting a better car, going on nicer holidays, wearing nicer stuff. This is kind of the purpose of life now. If you like this topic and you want to learn more, then you can download this free document which has great resources and exercises all about consumerism. You access this by joining my free English learning community, which is focused on society, culture, politics, and psychology. You will even have the opportunity to practice your speaking and writing skills by discussing topics like this with other members and coming to the group calls. And remember, it's all free. The link is in the description. What are the forces behind consumerism? Companies that sell us things want us to continue buying things, and they want us to continue buying more things because they get more profit then. And a business's overall goal is to create profit for the owners and the shareholders. So they are completely incentivized to keep up this consumerist trend. Psychology is a big aspect. Like I said, I think there are kind of marketing and advertising tools that preys on our psychology and our vulnerability and how we want to feel. Also, we want to be respected and judged positively by our peers and people around us in society. And we often do that by judging people on the things they have. That's a nice car, that's a nice jacket. Also, economic ones as well. We're obsessed with growth. More things, buy more things, continue to buy more things, higher wages, buy more things. This is a very simplistic view of our economy. Is consumerism a bad thing? Well, one major problem with consumerism is that it produces a lot of rubbish. And when I say rubbish, you could say poorly made things like this stupid little plastic plant that I got from my old office. I found it and I kind of put it in my bag. Maybe I stole it. I don't know. It was in my office, so I guess I didn't. But still, what's the point in this? Like, who do we really need this in the world? It's in my room now. I don't particularly like it, but I just haven't moved it. But things like this, it just creates junk. This is completely plastic. Why don't we just have a real plant? Why is this necessary? So imagine all the things that we get produced, that get bought, sold and bought, and just where do they end up? Often they're rubbish and they're in the rubbish. You'll see images and videos of huge landfill sites, sometimes called tips in the UK, and they are just mountains or pyramids of garbage. Plastic waste that will just sit there for a very long time. All there because of our addiction to buying things. I think fast fashion is probably the tip of the iceberg here because fast fashion gets talked about a lot. There are companies that produce clothes that are really cheap, that people will buy over and over again, will wear a few times and put in the bin. And this has to go somewhere. Environmentally, consumerism is clearly bad. We're constantly wasting energy by creating things that we don't really need, that get sold for profit, and they just end up in the rubbish after a few months or a few uses. They're often made of plastic, and that doesn't decay very easily. It has to go somewhere. There is probably a deeper psychological effect happening here where if people do really obsess about consumerism, they don't need to do it consciously, but if their life is mostly just about going to work and earning more money and getting promotions and buying nicer things, then this consumerist treadmill doesn't end. And let's say you do get a promotion and you earn £10,000 more per year. You now unlock everything you own, you can kind of level it up in terms of brands. And do you know what happens after you get there? It might feel good for a short period of time. Your friends might tell you, oh, great new car. But then you see the next person, and guess what? They've got a nicer car than you. Where does it end? I don't know where it ends because why do the richest people in the world continue to amass wealth for themselves? I feel like collecting wealth and consumerism just has no end in sight. It just is a cycle that continues repeating. And what do? We just spend our lives grinding at work just to buy nicer things that don't really make us happy. Is consumerism the main purpose of human life in the modern world? Well, this is a question that I created, and it could definitely be argued that this is the case. Because what is the purpose of human life now? Someone could say reproduction. Okay. I remember reading a book once, and people used to think of themselves as citizens. So I would be a citizen of the United Kingdom, and I'd think of myself kind of living in a society and a community. But now we're often framed and thought of as individuals, and not just individuals, but consumers. We vote with our credit cards. if I want to say something about me, I usually buy a product that says something about me. So if I want to give the appearance that I'm a sporty person, I can wear some sporty brands, and that might say something about me, my identity, and what I care about. If I want to show people that I can care about the environment, I might buy myself an electric car and have a jacket from a sustainable clothing shop. Brands and products often get associated with identity, and the things that you buy often say something about you. If you're not a religious person and you ask yourself, what is the purpose of life? You may think, well, it's just an accident. It's evolutionary biology that we've ended up here. People don't really see themselves as living in part of a society or a community. Most people's lives and activity and energy expenditure goes towards having a family and going to work. And to ask people why they go to work, well, it's so they can afford to survive and maybe some other things. What do we do with those other things we consume? We buy things. It could be argued that consumerism has become the main purpose of human life. We don't think of ourselves as citizens anymore, rather consumers. I think if I had to make a guess, I would say consumerism is more popular in places where religion is less prevalent. I would also say that it's more common in places where business and big business is prevalent. I was thinking about the United States, a little bit more of a religious country than UK, but also probably more consumerist there as well. Should we and can we combat consumerism? Of course, we can combat consumerism by buying less things. Just think about the things that you really need to buy. Do you need new clothes, or can you buy them secondhand, for example? Try and make the things that you buy last a little bit longer and try and buy more sustainable products. But remember, consuming lots of sustainable products is still consumerism. Choosing if you should fight consumerism is a personal choice, but if you are thinking about climate change in the environment, then definitely I think it could and should be worth doing.